Coalfield Development is a community-based nonprofit, been around for about 15 years now, based in Wayne County, just down the road here in Huntington. We provide really three main focuses: workforce development for people facing barriers to employment, community revitalization as a general licensed contractor, and enterprise incubation. And so these three things basically summarize to people, place, and prosperity. These things complement each other. And so with that, we've trained over 4,000 folks facing barriers to employment. A lot of folks are either exiting the justice system or the recovery system, looking for that next chapter, and so we take that on. And we employ folks on the job with training. That training entails anything from sustainable construction to sustainable agriculture, solar, woodworking, light manufacturing. A lot of that is at our West Edge headquarters in Westmoreland. And so those folks are getting trained, also revitalize the places in our communities. So this building was actually one of the very first collaborations that we had way back in the day when this got founded in Central City. Coalfield was a part of that to help revitalize the building for the Wild Ramp to move into. Also the old Corbin factory where we're headquartered at, used to be a men's clothing factory, is now our hub for workforce development. And so it was going to be demolished, turned into a parking lot, and so that's one of 12 sites that we've taken that approach on. We are in Logan, Williamson, Hamlin, Matewan, etc. The southern 21 counties of West Virginia.
21 counties.
Yeah, so if it's not a brick and mortar, it's some sort of partnership or nonprofit like the Wild Ramp that we're working to build their capacity to employ people. So people who are employed, revitalize places, and those places house enterprises. And so this building is housing the Wild Ramp. West Edge is housing Mountain Mindful and Solar Holler, so on and so forth. So it's sort of this virtuous cycle rather than a vicious cycle that happens a lot in our communities. And so with Coalfield, as I said before, about 4,000 people trained, 3,500 square feet of formerly dilapidated property revitalized through that model, about 92 social enterprises incubated or supported in the region, and about $175 million in investment drawn to the region.
Talk about Coalfield Development's funding, what the funding source is.
We strive for a third blend of funding, a third philanthropic, a third federal, and a third earned revenue. Earned revenue would just be like sales of your product in this space. Philanthropic would be like a foundation, like Benedum Foundation based here in West Virginia. Or federal would be USDA grants or EDA grants. And so right now we were more heavily skewed towards federal grants, and with the federal funding pause, that's taken a big hit for us, big hit for the region, especially since the last 4 years we saw the highest amount of grants aimed at Appalachia since the war on poverty in the 70s. And so with that, folks really reached up and pulled down those grants, but a lot of it's frozen or terminated. And so that's the condition that the Wild Ramp found itself in as well, very dependent upon USDA grants and other funding sources like that. And so rather than us feeling like we're sort of in this fight alone, we're trying to band together and figure out how to support each other, and that's part of the collaboration today.
And this was announced during, is it?
It's just rubbing a little bit.
Probably because I'm very animated.
No, you're okay. I'm just going to turn it
What you're
down.
supposed to do, that's perfect.
There you go.
Cool.
So it was announced the same weekend as Stinkfest. I'm trying to remember when that was when they came in. Was it early May or?
Yeah, Stinkfest is like around the second to last week of April.
Last week. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's when the partnership was announced.
Yep.
What does it mean exactly? Like, what will change about this place? What will remain the same? Will people notice a difference?
Sure. If you stepped into the Wild Ramp a month ago, sadly you would have seen the shelves half empty and the staff down to 1 to 2 individuals part-time. And the hours cut in half and cash on hand enough to last for 30 days and then permanent closure. That was the trajectory of the Wild Ramp a month ago. And so with that, the Wild Ramp reached out to Coalfield and asked if there could be some sort of collaboration to help not only just keep the lights on and keep the doors open, but bring it back to a better glory that it had before. And so with that, we said that this is an institution that just can't be allowed to fail. Huntington was once labeled the unhealthiest community in America. And so how can we make sure institutions like this stick around to help serve the region? And so with that, we decided to step in together and work with the board of the Wild Ramp for weeks on end to figure out what is the right mixture of collaborations to make this come to a better space for the community. And the end result was the board said, listen, the Wild Ramp is a good challenge. It's outgrown the current structure of the board. It's outgrown our capacity. We need some bigger organization to take it on. And so we thought about, could Coalfield provide a grant or could we provide some resources? And they said, no, we need you all to take this on. And so with that, we've never operated a retail store like this before, but we do a lot of work in the sustainable agriculture field with our Refresh Appalachia program. And our goal is that the community doesn't feel a difference other than increased inventory on the shelves, increased hours to what they were before, which they are now, and increased staff. And so we were able to pull in all those staff who were laid off back into the building. And so that's who's operating the space now today. Shelley, who was the previous director of the Wild Ramp, is now back into that role, helping to operate it. And so with that, it is officially a program of Coalfield development. And so the board is working with us actually to finalize some of the paperwork today to have that be absorbed into Coalfield. But as a social enterprise incubator, which is what we are, our goal is to build up the Wild Ramp to where it grows enough to where it spins out of us and has its own capacity to then operate without our assistance. So that's a lot of that's what we did with Solar Holler. That's what we're doing with Mountain Mindful. Our goal is to build that capacity building space to where there's less risk and you can launch on your own. And so that may happen within about a year or two, probably. That's about how long it takes to build up that self-sustaining capacity. But again, the community shouldn't feel any difference other than just increased inventory.
It sounds a lot like what we see from when the State Board of Education has to take over a county system. The goal is that they don't want to run it forever.
That's right.
They want to prop it back up and push it out of the nest again, per
Yep,
se.
that's right.
And it kind of sounds like that's what you want to do, is like raise this baby bird until it's ready to fly again.
Yeah, we do this with about 12 other nonprofits in the region. UFI, just downtown, is a partner of ours. That we provide funding, we provide incubation and support and capacity building to where the training wheels are off and it can do its own, it can pull down its own federal grants and it can pull down its own capacity. And so that's our goal with the Wild Ramp, and already we're seeing that success. So as I mentioned to you, Stinkfest was the largest single day of sales ever in the history of the Wild Ramp. And that's been because of a collaboration of all of our resources and folks reaching out to the community to come in and support this initiative. So it's been very exciting. I'll say the most visual change that you may see is that we're hoping to put solar on the roof. With all these refrigerated units, they consume a lot of energy that adds to a lot of cost of operation. So we're trying to figure out how can we make this thing self-sustain and not just be reliant on grants. No one wants to be reliant on grants. So we're working with Solar Holler to get some quotes for the roof and try and offset as much cost as possible.
Makes sense, yeah.
I have a question.
Please, ask.
When people think about really saturating the workforce and getting more people employed in West Virginia, I feel like oftentimes that's on a technological level. Like whenever I hear politicians speaking about it, it's always bringing in more engineers and things
Sure.
of that nature. Do you feel like people forget that it can actually more employment in West Virginia can actually happen on a local level on something like this?
Employment has to be at a local level, at the level that you walk into this space and see that there's folks taking inventory of our items in the space. The folks who are driving our truck to make deliveries of food. There are folks, there's this common misperception that no one wants to work these days. And there's a lot of employers who are looking to hire. But the missing connection is there are a lot of folks in our region looking for a job, but they don't have that space to get those skill sets of getting their driver's license back, or getting a CDL, or finding affordable housing, or removing a barrier. And so that's what we provide. And so our folks, they graduate with us with about 20 different certifications. A lot of them get a lot of barriers removed, and they get paid for that time to remove those barriers. And it's folks who make the local economy function every day. And so that's the soil that then provides the opportunity for those outside opportunities that you're describing. That, okay, let's let's get a big employer from the outside to come in, and let's get this new opportunity from this big employer to come into this area. It has to have that fertile soil. And so that's what the local level on the ground opportunities are. We train folks in OSHA 10, OSHA 30, first aid CPR, financial literacy, communications, customer service, how to open a savings account, driver's license restoration, record expungement, on and on and on. Trying to help someone rebuild their life while they rebuild their community.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Can you guys do anything about the cicadas?
Well, there's a cafe down the shop called Cicada. Maybe they can figure it out.
Thanks, Jacob. That's
Yeah.
right. Sarah, is there anything else that you'd like to?
Well, just thinking back to your original question or prompt, like, is there sort of like a statement of Coalfield's excitement?
Yeah.
We've been working with the Wild Ramp for about 7 years now in this community, working with logistics, with workforce, with farmers, building up their capacity. And so we're very excited that this is just a natural culmination of that years of trust building and an identification that this is not only about local produce, it's about local jobs, it's about local economic development. You get a lot of foot traffic in this Central City part of the community because of this bastion here in the community, and so there's a ripple effect if things fail. And so we want to make sure we're doing everything we can as good neighbors and good partners to make sure we're helping as much as possible during a very challenging and difficult time for organizations like this. But there's a way to make 1 + 1 = 3, and we're seeing that now, and we're hopeful to see what that looks like in the future.
Okay. And the farmers market isn't going anywhere, I presume.
Farmers market's staying, and we're hoping to build out more of this space to where it's less dependent upon weather, but is more of a permanent farmers market. Yeah, so that would be a phase 2 goal that we have. After the solar, I would love to have that space more enclosed and conditioned so that the farmers can set up there year round.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.